from Canada.
Yes!
It's how we Americans like to introduce ourselves. I am from the United States, but for what it's worth, I almost qualify as being from Canada. I'm originally from Alaska, which is a little exotic. You know, it's kind of like Canada, but without healthcare. A lot of people, they don't believe that I'm from Alaska, but that is the truth. That is where I was born, that is where I grew up. And for those of you who are wondering why I don't look like an Eskimo, that is because you are racist. So you had to find out from a white guy. I only say it because I know people comment about it after the show, like, you're really from Alaska? Wow, you're pale for an Eskimo. And it's like, thank you. Well, you're from Florida, you're pale for a Cuban. Let's move on. For what it's worth, there are a lot of indigenous people who live up there. Some of them like to be called Eskimos, others though prefer Inuit, or they have other names that they use. The first girlfriend I had growing up was actually half Eskimo, which was really cool. Like on our first date, she took me out clubbing. We ended up killing 2 seals. You shake your head if you want to, and I'll ask if that counts as third base. I'll tell you that right now. It's this close to getting in her mucklucks. Very, very cold there, very cold. I grew up in one of the coldest places on the planet where people live. In my hometown in the wintertime, this is true, it would regularly get down to 50, sometimes 60, one time 65 below zero.
Wow.
Yeah, people ask me all the time too, well, is that in Fahrenheit or Celsius? And at that point, it doesn't fucking matter. That temperature, you can literally throw water in the air. It will freeze before it hits the ground. I once spit in a guy's face, chipped his tooth. True story. Yeah, Alaska, the only place where a super soaker is a lethal weapon. I did have to get used to the whole Celsius thing, though, when I moved here to the UK, because as you know, the US, we use what's called the imperial system that uses Fahrenheit, feet, inches, miles, and that. Most countries in the world use the metric system, and here in the UK, they just use whatever the fuck they feel like. Very inconsistent with measurement, you know, which is a weird thing. Like, some things are metric, some things are imperial, and some things here are their own thing.
Yeah.
Like when you weigh yourself in the UK, it's not in pounds or kilogram, but stone. You know, like a caveman would do. Just. It's like something they've been using since the last ice age. Just bunch of Neanderthals like, ooh, meat fat. You must be 15 stone. Oh, you not fat. Me, 16 stone. 5 pebbles. I know. It was a little weird for me when I moved over here as an American, especially as a comedian, because as you can imagine, American humor is slightly different than British humor, yes?
Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, British humor has an extra U. Many of you who don't get that one. Here in the UK, like most of the world, they spell humor H-U-M-O-U-R, right? As opposed to the United States, where we spell it correctly. Hear me out. Here's the thing, like the US, we actually use a different dictionary than the rest of the English-speaking world. We spell hundreds of words differently than anywhere else. And the big difference is we just like to spell the words the way that they sound like they should be spelled. You understand this? So in the US, we have a sense of humor, whereas the rest of the world has a sense of humour. We might have an odor, but you have an odor. You have a flavour hour and a colour hour. I heard a room hour from my neighbour. Told it to me in the parlour. And he asked me for a fave hour. I said I would be on hour. He said, meet me at the theatre in the city centre. Even the English people were like, he makes a good one. No, but here's the thing. I've traveled all over the world, and I learned that, like, even if you speak English, that doesn't mean you speak it the same way. Every place has their own take on the language, including the English that themselves. Like if you ever go to England, they do one thing in England where they like to make a declarative sentence and then follow that sentence with a tagged question. Don't they? I just did it myself, didn't I? Such a fun way to talk, isn't it? What a life, right? Because if the English are saying, look, this is what I believe to be true, but if you feel that I'm wrong, by all means feel free to correct me. Won't you? See, I'm just saying, Americans, we don't talk like that. If we use a tag question, we don't ask people to correct us. We ask them to agree with us. Am I right? We ask people to agree when we don't explain ourselves very clearly. You know what I mean? So sometimes we'll just claim that people agree with us even if they make no indication that they actually have. She gets it. Every place has their own little take on that sort of thing, though. You know, like if you ever go to Ireland, like the Irish, they don't use tag questions, but they will make tag declarative statements, so they will. I can say that because I'm a quarter Irish myself, so I am. Australia, you guys do use tag questions in Australia, but you use them as a challenge at the end of an insult. You're like, oh, you're a funny looking fella, aren't you? You gonna cry? And then Canadians will just turn any sentence into a question, eh? Anyway, so is this anyone's first time in Scotland? It was first time in Scotland? Yeah, so good for you. Yeah. Do the full Scottish experience, you know, drink the whiskey, eat the haggis. A lot of people get grossed out by haggis, especially Americans, once they find out what's inside of it. They're like, oh my god, what is that, a bunch of ground up organ meat cooked in a stomach? Oh, there's no way I would ever eat that, unless you called it a hot dog. I won't eat haggis, but I will eat 2 haggis covered with ketchup. Now, my wife and I, we were kind of hoping our kids would pick up a little bit of a Scottish accent when we moved over here. They were 5 and 7 when we moved over, and they picked up a little bit of an accent, but it's not very Scottish. Because the schools here are very international. You get kids from all over the world. My daughter's friends at school, a lot of them have been from England. So if anything, my daughter picked up a bit of a posh London accent. And now she sounds a little bit like Peppa Pig. I'll come home from a long trip, she'll look at me and be like, Daddy! Your tummy is too fat, Daddy. You need to go to hospital. My son, who was older, he didn't pick up much of an accent. He got like a very subtle one. I was talking about it with him. He goes, yeah, Dad, I was thinking about it. I don't think I say anything in the British way. You mean the British way? He said, yeah, the British way. Say water bottle. Water bottle. I imagine though that that's gotta be like worse for like English people who move to the United States. You know what I mean? Like if somebody has like a proper British accent and they send their kids to school and they come back with like a southern drawl or something. Hey son, how was school today? I tell you what, Daddy, I am plumb tuckered out. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Would you care for some tea? Is it sweet tea? Good, well, here's the thing, like living in the UK as an American, it's really made me like have a new appreciation for the English language, especially Old English, like Shakespeare. I don't know about any of you. Whenever I hear Shakespeare, most of it goes completely over my head. It just sounds like gibberish. I think that's true for most Americans. Like I would actually love to see a Shakespeare play translated into typical American. You follow me? Not the actual translation, just what a typical American thinks Shakespeare was trying to say. Wouldn't that be a fun show? Yeah, you can have the Shakespeare person come out and do the monologue. Yeah. To be or not to be, that is the question. And then the American, dude,